Hello and welcome to the Byram Hills Blitz. I'm Matthew Levy and alongside is my co-pilot, of course, Jesse Smallholtz. Jesse, how we doing?
Doing great. Excited to get started.
Now let's get started with our winter season recap. We're going to go through boys and girls basketball, wrestling, track, and then end off with cheerleading. To give us some more insight on the wrestling season, we welcome in a very special guest, Alex Behar.
So let's start off with boys basketball. They finished with a record of 18-4 with a league record of 9-1. They were the 2 seed going into the playoffs, beat Peekskill in the first round, but then lost to Pearl River in the second round. What are you looking for them next year, and how do you think they did this year?
I think they had a very good year considering the expectations. You got to give a lot of credit to John Trangone. He was a monster in the playoffs, and for next year, I'm looking at Mateo Sinan to have a really big year.
Yeah, I totally agree, and if Mateo can step into that leadership role for next year, I think they'll have a successful year.
I agree. All right, so now let's move into some girls basketball. They went 17-6 this year, 7-3 in the league. They were the number 4 seed, but ultimately lost to Harrison in the quarterfinals. Jesse, what'd you think of their year?
And I think unlike last season, they were the underdogs coming in, and I thought they had a different mindset going in, and maybe it didn't help them in the long run going that much deeper in the playoffs, but I think their mindset was super important even for future seasons coming in. And speaking of future seasons, they have a lot of people coming back. They'll have a strong senior core that we've been talking about all year as the junior core, but now they're going to be seniors. Going to have to step up in more of a leadership role than they were this year. So look for them to have another big year.
You got Jen Moy, Gabby Ripka, Olivia Pica. I think those 3 will step up next year along with Beth Corelli. And now let's talk about some wrestling. They had 6 sectional qualifiers this year. Justin Fortuno qualified for states. John Fortuno, his brother, also had 100 wins. John was 3rd in the section, and Alex Behar, we got to talk about him, our interviewee, finished 3rd in states, most school wins in Byram Hills history, record-breaking season, Con Edison Scholar Athlete of the Week, also placed sectional champ and county champ. What a year.
Now let's jump into an interview with Alex Behar to talk about his historic season.
So Alex, how did you get into wrestling?
Well, so my dad was a D1 wrestler at Colgate. He was a state champ when he wrestled, so he's been pushing me to wrestle for a while. Finally, after my 8th grade year, or during 8th grade, I decided I'd give it a try, and ever since then I've loved it.
So explain the general premise. I know most people know the premise of wrestling, but what goes on pre-match, during the match, and what do you do after the match?
Well, I have a pretty unique warm-up routine. I'll pretty much aimlessly pace around a tournament for like an hour and a half before my matches. About like 30 minutes before, I'll just, instead of aimlessly pacing, just walk back and forth in a line. Before every match, I don't know why, but I just bend down, tap the mat 3 times, and then get my frame of mind right, and get ready to go.
Describe your favorite match as a wrestler.
Well, I have 2. The first match I had after my brain surgery, when I really got back on the mat, I never really knew if I was going to be able to wrestle again, and getting back on the mat, being able to wrestle, knowing everything was going to be fine, that was a great feeling. And I can't say that taking 3rd in the state wasn't the match that I did that. I ran off the mat, hugged my coach. It was a great feeling. It was, yeah.
And speaking of those accomplishments, 3rd in state. I know you're a very humble guy, but 3rd in states, most wins in Byram Hills history, historic season for you. What does it mean to have those accomplishments under your belt?
I mean, it feels pretty good because, you know, I've put in a lot of hard work, a lot of hours. And it feels good to have something to show for it.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels pretty good.
How has your performance this season influenced the wrestling culture here at Byram Hills?
Well, I think my performance is just a small part of the wrestling team growing because, you know, it wasn't just me. It was me, the Fortunos. We had 3 all-section kids, 2 kids qualified for states. We had a team of almost 20 guys who were league champs. You know, I think I've been able to help out, but I think the team has really grown on its own. People are starting to know that wrestling's a fun sport. It's pretty cool, and a lot more people want to do it, and we're winning a lot more matches because of it.
And one last question, we ask this to all our interviewees. What is one athlete that you look up to, someone that you try to emulate on and off the mat?
It's definitely going to be Bo Nickel. He's a wrestler up at Penn State, 197 pounds. Well, he graduated last year, but when I started wrestling, I watched his matches, and I always just thought, that's what I want to be. And, you know.
Thank you for coming on, Alex. That was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
So that was a great interview from Alex, and now let's jump into some track. Alex Deck placed 11th in New York State for his pole vaulting, breaking his own previous school record of 14 feet, and look for spring track to have a lot of success too.
And then just to end off with some cheerleading, they had a very good year, placing 4th in sectionals, and special congrats to Julia Hansberg, getting all league, and Olivia Frischman obtaining all section. Thank you guys for listening. What a great interview with Alex Behar, and great stuff always, Jesse, and look for our spring sports preview coming up next. Hello and welcome. My co-pilot. What? I'm Matthew Levy, and alongside Jesse. How we doing today?
Doing great.
Do it again. Do it again. Be coming up soon.